Hello, hello, my stitchy friends. Welcome back. My name is Laura. You found La Lady Stitches, and I'm so glad you're here with me. It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning. It is already creeping up towards 80 degrees, so I might lose the sweater at some point, even though it matched the centers of my flowers just right. I might get a little warm. I also have a fan going, but it's like away from the speakers, so I'm hoping it won't be distracting. We shall see. I also, oh my goodness, all the alsos. This is starting out to be very coherent. I've got something going on with my left ear, so if I sound funny or if I start speaking really loudly all of a sudden, I really do apologize. I'm basically deaf in my left ear right now. I'm not sure what's going on. If it's possible that it's you know, spring pollen related allergy, something. Could be something else, who knows. Anyways, all is well. But if I'm a little odd, we'll blame it on that. Sounds good. Okay, it's been a month since we last visited, and yeah, it's just the way it is. I had intended to come back sooner, but unfortunately life lifed, and anyways, I'm here. I have lots to share, and I think it's going to be fun. So we'll just dive right in. I have two finishes to share first to start out. So let me dig my board out from underneath my stack here. Okay, so the first one is the Pink Sparrow Sampler, which is this pattern by Brenda Gervais. I have done a color conversion on it to lift the colors a little bit more. This read very spring to me, and I wanted it to translate that way in my finish. So this is where I started out. Oh, we're gonna have to unplug this. So this is where I started out. And I'm done. So I started this as a New Year's Eve start in 2023. Oh, it's so lovely. I haven't looked at this in a couple of weeks. It's been done. I finished it on Easter. This was an Easter finish for me. Oh, I love it so much. Let's see, it's on a 28 count Lugana from Bestitch Me. The color is lightly roasted, not salted. And I love it. I love how it turned out. What can I say about it? I don't know. I'm happy with it. I'm excited to get it framed. This is my biggest finish of the year so far. I think I've had around 5 or 6 finishes, but most of them have been pretty small, quick finishes. So this feels like quite the accomplishment. I actually really enjoyed doing the alphabet. Alphabets are not normally my jam, but they're growing on me, and I loved that this one had lots of different colors in it, so it made it more interesting and fun to. I did color completion when I was stitching on it, so I would go in and do all the dark purple, and then I added the yellows, and you know, kind of that way, and that made it a lot more fun. For the most part, I did a color by color conversion, but there are a couple of spots where I tweaked what should have been there, like my green birds. The color I subbed it for was, I don't remember what it was originally. It may have been this really bright one, which I think is like frog legs or something. But, oh, let me get my button going here. Don't want to scandalize anybody with my cleavage. Okay. Greens. Yes, frog legs. So I think it was supposed to be this, and I turned it into this kind of avocado-y. I don't remember what it actually is supposed to be, or what the name of it actually is, but anyways, she's done. There is a little error. I messed up on this branch. It's supposed to kind of fill in this area. There's supposed to be 2 blossoms on it, I believe. Or no, just more leaves. 1 blossom, but more leaves. But I discovered that after I'd finished the blossom and just decided that every branch is different, and this one has a little quirk. It's a little shorter, so I left it. It wasn't echoed on the other side anyways, so I didn't think it would matter terribly. Anyways, I love it. And it's done! So woohoo! Oh my goodness, I'm already warm. Okay, we're gonna lose the sweater earlier than I thought. Tried to start this earlier. I mean, I guess it's afternoon, but oh my goodness. This warm is by far the warmest room in the house. And I have not turned my air conditioning on yet because I refuse on principle to turn it on in May. But that's just my own stubbornness. I could turn it on if it gets terribly hot. I will. Hey Grace, can I set these by you? Thanks. You're a good girl. Okay, so my next finish was a start and finish. I started this on May 2nd or 3rd, sometime in the last week, and it is called The Sewing Bird. Another Brenda Gervais. There we go, a little less glare. And it's so cute. I did a full color conversion on this one, and I just wanted, again, I think I just wanted more color. The original is very cute, but when I pulled the colors, first I was missing a couple of colors, but you can see it's very neutral, really, with the red. And I had seen it stitched up at Shepherd's Bush on the color that I stitched this on. I actually bought my fabric there when I purchased the pattern. It's a 30 count linen, Weeks Dye Works linen. The color is Dove. And they had done a conversion as well, but I kind of, well, I didn't have what they called for, so I just made it up. I just made it up. I knew that they had used old purple paint for these numbers, and I just kind of went from there with what I had in my stash. And this is my finish on it. And we've lost our sun. Just a tiny little cloud, but I am so tickled. This, like I said, I stitched it in 3 days. It was a bit of a surprise finish. I started with the crow and the bobbin, the spool of thread, excuse me, because I figured that's the bulk of the stitching, and once I finished that, it would all be downhill from there. And I was right. Once I got those done, I was like, well, maybe I'll just do the top and bottom border. That will kind of frame it in. Oh, well, maybe I'll just add a couple flowers. I'll just do the greens, just the green. And pretty soon it was it was done. So there she is. And I love my little sewing raven. I can't decide where I'm gonna put this one because I love it a lot. It would make sense in my sewing room, but I kind of want it downstairs in my living room. I think that could be kind of cute. I put my I Want to Believe poster cross stitch that I finished last year downstairs in my gallery wall, and I'm kind of working on filling that out, and I don't know, I think this could be really pretty down there, but maybe I'll have it in my sewing room because it would make, in my studio, excuse me, because it would make so much sense there, being a sewing bird. I love it. This was a color for color conversion, so this is one is really easy to share. If you have any interest in it, just let me know. I will post it here, but you'll have to like decipher my handwriting. Post it. I'll show it here. See if we can get it to focus on it. I also didn't have the brands on there, so anyways, but I'm happy to share. It's no great secret. Oh, did you decide to curl up? That's a good girl. You're a good girl. All right. So, 2 finishes. Surprise, surprise. That felt pretty good. Okay, so as far as stitching goes, I had intended, at the start of April, I had been doing fairly consistently some morning stitching. That has since fallen off the wagon, but I think it was a good week before that pattern died. I got a good week of morning stitching done, and I've been doing, when I do morning stitching, I'm working on borders. So filling out borders on my bigger projects especially, so that I can come in and do the fun bits without a lot of, brain. So the first one I pulled out was, or second one, I don't remember, another Brenda Gervais. There's a trend you'll notice in my stitching this month. Heart in Hand. I love this piece. I've never actually seen it stitched up, but it's so beautiful from, I don't know, there's just something, it's just lovely. It's lovely, right? So good. Anyways, I have a great piece of fabric for it that I didn't pull out the information on. I apologize about that. Thought I was all ready to go. And I have a hanging thread here because I didn't quite get this border done. So I must have been working on this second because I finished the next one I'm going to show you. Anyways, all that rambling aside, here is where a very overexposed where we were. So I had the center box pretty much done. And I have added, so I added all of that, filled in my little gaps that I had. And now all that's left is this little kind of, I almost said checkery. It's not really checkery, but it's a little ripply border. And then the final, so just this final section to round out. So really 2 more good lines. Another morning or 2 and I would have this border done, which just might happen, who knows? Maybe I'll get back into the morning stitching on a regular basis. I want to say this is a 30, I know it's a 36 count actually. I'm doing it 2 over 2, and which I realize now I have not said on the other fabrics. They were 2 over 2 as well. I know I mentioned the fabrics, and I want to say it's an R&R linen, but I do not remember the name. I can see the little tag the information is written on, but my project bag is across the room. So I will put it in the box below if I remember. And if you're interested and I did not, please, again, feel free to reach out to me and I will pass that along. Okay, next border is Forest Home by the Blue Flower. I was missing my blue flower projects, so this one doesn't have a lot going on with it. I had started out with almost that center box, so the box that the phrase sits in, done, and now the whole border is done. So this is a 28 count Oak Crown Studio linen, and I want to say it's called Lurking in the Woods or something awesome like that. I think all fabrics should have really epic names. Okay, so I'm not holding this very straight, but it's just borders, Anyways, that's the start. And these are supposed to be missing. The waterfall, so Multnomah Falls is up here, and it starts in the border and then falls down. So that is an intentional gap, or those are intentional gaps. Anyways, border stitching is very soothing in the mornings, I found. Like stitching these long lines, something about it, like with a little show going on or a book on tape or something, hit a sweet spot for just a calm 45 minutes while I sip my coffee or whatever. I really liked it. But, life happens and habits shift and morph, and I stopped. So I feel pretty good about what I got done. Okay, so let's dive into the bulk of my stitching. The first one we're going to look at is, I feel so scattered, like I'm rushing. I'm not trying to rush. Blooming Tiny Town by Heart in Hand. very cute. I am stitching this on a 28 count sand Lugana from Picture This Plus, and I almost have the town done. So this is where we started. I had 2.5 houses almost because there's some detail work that needed to happen. And now it sits here. I'd had the goal to try to get the yellow house and the bluebird done. And I wound up adding the greenhouse and half of the tree because it just hit the spot on the days where I wanted to stitch, but I wasn't really committed to picking up anything super involved. This hit the spot. It's good. Excuse me, itchy nose. It's just good, easy comfort stitching. And they're so cute. And I definitely feel like the more colors I get in there, the cuter it is. It started out very brown feeling. And unfortunately, my dye lot, it's supposed to look like little stones or tiles or something in the roof, and it doesn't show very well at all. You can see it a little bit in person, but I used the called for colors on that, and my dye lot is considerably different than her dye lot. So I don't know, maybe I'll go in and pull it out and swap it with something else. Maybe I won't. Maybe it'll just be subtle. I don't know. But I've definitely noticed that consistently in these patterns I've done. This will be my 3rd finish. Maybe this is only my 2nd finish, but I have 3 or 4 of them going. And I've definitely noticed that with the call for colors, there have been some dye lot differences. So for instance, in the Valentine's Day one, I wound up swapping out for colors to look more like the picture because the current dye lots were not giving the same effect. I was less particular about spring, and so I've got a couple moments where, you know, it's still lovely, it's really cute, I'm really happy with how it looks, but perhaps if I'd been feeling more particular the day I pulled floss, I would have lifted a couple of those colors just to give that fresher look. The places I noticed it the most are in Cherry Tomato, and then what was that little roof color? Let me see if I can not. Pebble Beach. Yeah. So this, oh no, that's clay pot, excuse me. The color that is the door in her pictures shows more red, and who knows, maybe it's a filter. That's possible. But and then those little stones. Anyways, it's super cute. I'm not complaining, I'm just noticing differences. So, very fun. That will probably be done by the end of spring. I think summer officially starts, when is the official start? June, right? Technically. It'll definitely be done by June. Especially middle of June. Okay. See if I can get my little cushion here. I have to sit on the edge of this chair to not be like 1,000 miles away from the camera. And so yeah. I've put a little folded blanket here to try to give it a little lift, but okie dokie. Oh my goodness, my sleeves are so schluffy. I didn't press it because I was wearing a sweater. Oh well. Schluffy it is. Okay, so this next one is a new start that I'd been meaning to start for a couple months now, and it just never hit the spot, but then it finally did last week. Summer in the Village by Owl Forest Embroidery. This is a free pattern on their website. They're very generous with their free patterns. They have a lot of them. I'm stitching this on 32 count Navy Bean by Lakeside Linens. And this one was the first thing I picked up. I had a pretty epic migraine a couple weeks ago that knocked me out for like 8 days. And so I didn't do any stitching. In fact, I think I missed half of April. But when I did pick it up, this is the project I chose to start, and it felt like magic. It was so much fun. So I gave it a good 2 or 3 days of stitching and just really enjoyed it. They use their own hand-dyed flosses when they chart their projects, and they will give a DMC conversion for their patterns. I just went through my stash and pulled what felt similar because I wanted the variegation, and so far so good. I did a center start and I am stitching this 2/2, which is my go-to. I like the coverage. Oh my goodness, this is so cute. This is going to be so happy. And I'm really excited to get into some of the little critters that float around, the little flower bushes and berry bushes. This is a fun project. It'll probably stay out all summer. Oh boy, I bumped something. There we go. Yes. Okay, next one was also, I believe this was a new start. I don't have a before picture, so it must have been. Shakespeare's Peddler, the green bean sampler. I've just been calling it Jenny's Garden in my head. Super cute. I fell in love with this when I saw somebody else working on it, and I had a piece of fabric that worked, and I'm trying to do the called for colors. So here we go. Oh, and I did have a question. Let me see. Excuse me, 1 second. Distracted. Where is? Well, I said I wasn't going to go to the bag. Excuse me, 1 moment. Where is my note? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I did get an email, and I'm so sorry I haven't responded. Like I said, I've been down for a bit. And that always, it's like a ripple effect of delays in every facet of my life, unfortunately. Anyways, I had a question about what color approximately, let's see if I can get a good representation. The green doesn't show super well, but what color DMC floss was this close to so that she could try to dye something as well? And when I pulled out my DMC MasterCard, it was somewhere between 926 and 932 for colors. It wasn't quite true on either one, but somewhere between the two. Like I said, there's a little bit of a green cast to it, kind of this old faded denim, and it is hard to capture. It's not focusing well. Okay. Anyways, very fun. I almost got this whole upper corner done, but I don't have one color that sits underneath these little blooms. So that's all right. I love it. I love how I love this start. This is the full width, actually, of this center border. It looks incomplete, but it's just kind of a funky offset one. And then we'll have another edge of blooms coming down this side and a whole bunch of script and alphabets and stuff going through the middle. So it's so, so pretty. What a lovely pattern. Okay, this one, Nature's Journey. This was a restart. It's had a bit of an epic with it. This is charted by Sprouting Lupine and is being released quarterly in the Just Cross Stitch magazine. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm not the only one stitching it. and I'm definitely behind, but I have a very solid start. I had started this on a piece of Monaco even weave that I had dyed, and that was gorgeous, but very difficult for me to stitch on despite many troubleshooting efforts. So I re-dyed on a piece of 32 count linen in a totally different vibe. And this is my start. Oh, I'm gonna have to work on this. This is so pretty. Especially now that summer is out. I'm not gonna start the summer section till summer actually begins, but that's okay. I've got plenty of spring left to go. Oh, I love it. It's so pretty. I love the contrast I'm getting with this, and I do feel like the blues and greens are going to pop more on this neutral background than they would have perhaps on, it was a, kind of a jade color. It was kind of in that range, maybe between those two, somewhere in that range. And it was beautiful, but difficult to stitch on, and this is a dream. So I'm glad I made the switch, and I'm really very tickled with how it's looking. So then somebody commented, so this is a month I was easily influenced. My theme for last month for April was kind of garden themed, because that's what I was feeling, and somebody said, I don't think I've seen your big garden lady stitch in a while. And I thought to myself, you know, that is true. I didn't do a lot of full coverage stitching last year. I was really loving it the year before, which I believe is when I started this in 2023. Yes, it was in September 2023, and then I worked on it really well for like 6 months, and then we moved last year, and life just got different and busy and distracted. So full coverage just was, I don't know, maybe it was just a lot to think about, and I didn't pull it out. But I'm glad you called me on it, because I pulled her out. This is where we came, where we started. And I stitched on her for a full afternoon, and you know, full coverage is funny. We'll see if you can see what's different here, but this is where I am, and it is so beautiful. And I had forgotten how much I really enjoy this full coverage stitching. So thank you for the reminder and for the little nudge to pull it out again. Delightful. I believe what I did was, yes, I kind of filled in this corner, so the green along the top. Let's see. I added a secondary color in here, filled in a little bit more of this, and then all of this is new. And in fact, I had to restitch some of this because I was very focused apparently, and it was off. But I believe that's corrected. I can't imagine I would have left that in, because it would be far more difficult to find again in a full coverage than a Quaker or something, where if you've got an error, it's a lot easier to see. Anyways, beautiful. Definitely has inspired one of my new starts for May. So you'll see that in just a little minute. I've got a few more projects here that I worked on. So the Enchanted Garden was a start at the end of March this year. I'm stitching this on 28 count linen from Picture This Plus. The color is Heartland, and this is almost where we started. I just had the fairy and the clovers in, and that dark brown I put in after we last visited. But it kind of threw me that it was brown, because in the picture, I mean, to me that reads very red, especially compared to the bunny. So I did that first little arch, and I paused for a bit. In fact, I did a lot less than I intended on this project because I was kind of thrown by the difference visually. And I double checked my flosses that I had pulled, that they were correct to the pattern. I double checked her website to make sure it wasn't an error. Everything's correct. It's just far more brown than it reads. And finally I decided, you know what, there are brown mushrooms too, so we're gonna represent the brown mushrooms. And I kept going, and so I think all but one color is in on the mushrooms. But by the time I got to this point, I was a little, I don't know, burnout, I guess. And so that's all I did, even though I had planned on more. It's very cute. I love it. And I think it's going to be darling. And we'll see. Who knows? Maybe once I get that. Color theory is very interesting. Colors are definitely affected by what is near it. And so maybe once I get that bunny in there, even though this is clearly a brown mushroom, perhaps it will read or translate more red in comparison. It's very possible. Anyways, it's darling. Sweet, sweet pattern. And not huge, though definitely dense in a couple spots. That bunny is not going to be a joke. Okay. Next project. I love this one. It's so pretty. It's going to take... I think about sometimes. So I'm definitely a process stitcher. I love new starts. I carry a lot of projects at a time. And I do just enjoy the process. But every once in a while I'm stitching, it will dawn on me how long it's been since I started this particular project. And I'll go, I might be 50 when this is done. This is not going to be one of those. It's not that big, but it is funny that some just take a long time when you're not monogamous about it. So this is Sampler Hill by Brenda Gervais. I am stitching this on 32 count Fox and Rabbit linen. The color is Mayflower, which is just the softest hint of peach in a cream. It is so lovely. It's really, really beautiful. And, oh, I didn't show you my before. So, I had worked on this in March, and I had added my bird and this tall pot. And I'd kind of had a soft goal to do the lady and work down into the grass. And I didn't get as much done as I thought, just wasn't hitting the spot, but I did get my lady butt for her basket completed, and I got the outline of the grass. So I found the bottom, a straight line of stitching across there would make a full enclosed shape. And then I think what next I'll do on that is the alphabet. Then it can just be fill in with green. But I love it. The colors are so gentle and warm, and it really is lovely. I'm a big fan of Brenda Gervais patterns in general. I love them. They're really sweet. And I like how she uses color. I find that very rarely, I mean, Pink Sparrow Sampler, I guess I did conversions on both. I like her originals. I'm gonna stop talking. I like her originals. Full stop. Okay, this next one. Oh, this one's so pretty, and I'm definitely gonna give this another couple days this month because I was really enjoying. This was an April start for me. Luca-s Gold Collection May Iris. This was my birthday present from my mother last year. And I swapped out the fabric for a 32 count Witchelt Water Lily linen. And it is so pretty. I hope the color shows well. This is my before. So I did a center start, which started me on those stems. Oh, my friends, getting that lavender and periwinkle in there is magic sauce. See, it's not showing quite as rich as it is in person, but that's okay. It is so beautiful. So beautiful. And I probably mention this every time I show it, but this speaks to me because my mother, along one side of our house growing up, we had like a little side yard connecting the front and the back. And along that whole side of the house, she had irises. And they were beautiful. When they would be in their prime, it was just pretty spectacular. Anyways, that's lovely. I would love to finish that one bloom and then do like one butterfly maybe before I put this away for a while. If I put it away, who knows? Maybe I'll keep it out all summer. It's lovely. Okay. Next is Simple Life by Teresa Kogut. And I'm stitching this on 32 count linen from Picture This Plus. The color is Heartland. And this is where we started. My goal was to try to get some trees done and work on the border a bit more, which I did. And yeah, let me show it to you first before my brain gets 10 steps ahead. Okay. So I did almost, well, just over half of the trees. Added in our little brown birds, the heart, most of Our Lady. She is floating in the sky right now. She has no feet. And I really wanted to get the little stack of animals. You can see next to the lady, there's a little stack of animals, but I don't have the DMC for the dog, and I was not feeling like making changes the day I was working on this. So it kind of stopped there. Well, that's okay. Good progress. I did get the blooms added to the top of this border as well. So, you know, each time you put some stitches, every stitch counts, right? So even if you do a little bit, it starts to come a little bit more to life. And it's beautiful. I love this one. I love this one. A simple life is a peaceful life. And all the little critters. So good. I should probably work my way over to this big house because that's definitely like the heavy part of the design, it feels like. Yeah, there's a lot of stitching here, but there's some animals breaking it up. I think the house is going to be the most intensive stitching. But it'll be fun though, because it's a brick house. And brick houses are a lot more fun than just solid masses of stitching. Though I can definitely see the fill-in, cozy aspect of that stitching. Okay. Next, Spring Traditions Sampler by Tiny Modernist. This was one of a couple spring market releases that I got and started. I'm stitching it on unknown fabric. I think it's a 32 count. I'd originally thought it was a 28, but I think I counted the fibers. And so on my card I have 32 question mark. I really don't know. Anyways, unimportant because this is where we started. And I finished the first little house. It's so cute. So cute. Nice creamy linen. It's showing really well right now, actually. I had to redo that entire blossom tree because I miscounted on the roof line, but then I based my tree off the roof line and it was an error. Anyways, and I definitely, looking at the pattern, did not realize, looking at the pattern, this little awning looked like a pond or something. I did not realize it was a porch until I was stitching it. So, this is the surprises of stitching. I would love to get some more border in and maybe start the next house over here during this month. This is so happy. I love that little Tweety bird. We don't have, so I live in a desert climate. It's not a full desert. Not like southern Utah is, but you know, middle of Utah is still very dry and there are not a lot of trees except for like down in gullies or trees that have been planted really. Where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? I had a reason for saying this. My brain just completely... Oh, that is wild. Okay, well, once upon a time I was going to tell a story and then it went away. Good times. Oh, birds! Birds! Okay, so we don't have a lot of trees. This is what I was going to say. I'm going to say it fast so I don't forget. We don't have a lot of trees, but the birds live in bushes here, it seems, from my observations, at least where my house is. And the birds sit on the roof lines and sing songs in the morning before it warms up, and it's quite lovely. That was the point of the story. Whew. That was way more difficult than it should have been. Okay, so moving on. Garden Sampler is the last garden themed project I pulled out, and I love this project. I love all of my projects, that's why I'm stitching them, but this is where I started. Oh my. Pressing screens and stuff. So, half a daisy, partial eggplant, hollow letters, and a couple missing gaps. So I filled in the gaps, completed the letters, and the daisy, and all but the top of the eggplant. So some of the gaps were like in the caterpillar. I hadn't put the orange in and stuff like that. I'm stitching this on 27 count even weave by Bestitch Me. The color is Lunar and it is lovely. This is all of the called for DMCs and they just pop nicely on this gray. Really pretty color. I wish I could dye something this color. I'll have to play with that next time I'm in the dyeing mood. That sounds odd, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so this has been really fun. If I were to work on this month, which I'm not sure, we'll see. But I would probably go frog, sunshine, rain, and just kind of work on the next little chunk. Because that seems to be working for me, to be going both columns at once. And I already have part of the grasshopper started with the G, so. But I love the fern that the frog sits on. It's so lacy and pretty. That'll be really fun to stitch. And the frog's pretty dang cute too. Okay. I did not work on my 100 owls. I did not work on my leap year project. So, you know, they'll wait for me. It's okay. I swear my leap year project, we're going to get down into the last 6 months before another leap year. And I'm going to panic stitch the last 3/4 of it. That's not true, but maybe only a slight exaggeration. I'm going to try to keep up with it. It's going to be fine. And if it didn't get done, I'm not saying it won't. I'm going to try really hard to get it done. But if it didn't, the world would not end. So, it's all okay. These get to be put away. Okay, so what are my plans? Oh wait, no, first. First I want to say some thank yous. So, a little stitchy kindness moment before we dive into my plans. This is why I make lists. So I wanted to say a special thank you to Janet, Brianna, Anne, and Jacqueline, who all contributed to the Buy Me a Coffee. I'm so grateful. I am hoarding my pennies right now. In July is my husband's annual business vacation, if you will. It's like business meetings, but we get to go stay at a resort, and the wives get to come, and there's a big dance at the end. So it's a little kind of paid for vacation, which we would not be able to do otherwise this year. So I'm looking forward to that getaway. Anyways, that's in July. And I haven't actually looked up if there are any shops in Reno. I imagine there are. If you know of any good cross stitch or quilting shops in Reno, let me know. But I'll also do some Googling and stuff and see if I can find some. Anyway, so I'm saving my pennies, other than perhaps one pattern, which Artsy Housewife just dropped. I don't think it's actually technically available, but it's coming available ASAP. But this new owl with the prettiest border, and I love it. It's so pretty, so I might grab that pattern. But anyways, thank you for your donations. They are going to go directly into my quilting and cross stitch, and I'm so grateful. And especially right now, it's funding things, so I appreciate your generosity. I also had Marjorie, a lovely viewer, reached out to me. She sent me this cute card, which I really want to frame. It's adorable. I love a good flamingo. Anyways, she was phasing out her 32 count linens, and so she sent me a lovely stack. I love stitching on 32 count. So they came to a good place. They will definitely be used. Anyway, so thank you for that. I already thanked you in an email, but I wanted to say it formally in a video as well. And then last but certainly not least, you might notice this beautiful stand here. So my friend owns a company with her husband called Park River Goods on Etsy, and I've been admiring hers. And they make these beautiful stands. So it's 100% wood. They're handcrafted, and then completely customizable. So she surprised me with this. You can put on, I've been using it for my cross stitch patterns, but you can also put your tablet on there. And they have different sizes. She has a tiny one that's like half this size because she has an iPad mini. And anyways, they're fabulous, and I highly, highly recommend you checking out their website. Like I said, they're customizable. I got to pick the color of my stain and my wood, and then they managed to get it's like my exact logo for the intro of my videos. It's so beautiful, and now it's gonna get its special spot in every video. As well as tons of use in between. I've been using it. So thank you. Thank you for this beautiful tool. But also go check them out because they're super good people and beautiful products. So, okay. May plans. Man, I really flew through this. I feel like I had a lot to show, but I've just been like, I don't know. It's all good. I have 4 kits that I pulled out from my kit bucket. Things I have so on high anxiety days, I find it very grounding to plan something. And so I will come in here and I'll look through my patterns and see if I have anything that would be interesting to stitch on, in the foreseeable future. And I see if I can pull the supplies for it. And so I have, I do that fairly regularly. So I have a bucket of things that I've kitted to start at some point. And so I have pulled 4 of my kits. I need to make a project bag for this one, but I'm thinking I'm gonna have to get a go on these, because I was thinking I would start one project a month, one project a week, because everybody's doing their mania plans, right? Andrew, the runner's teacher, he's getting ready for another marathon, and so he's doing training related stitching, and Brenda, oh my gosh, why can't I remember your handle? She's always incredibly organized about hers, and she has a calendar. Can't I remember her handle? Anyways, I'll tag her below for sure. She has like a poster board calendar that she has made cards for each project she has going from previous manias, and she will, as she finishes them, then she fills it. Anyways, everybody does it a little differently. It's fabulous. I have done, well, I've attempted a start every day in the past, and that just is too much for me. And I've done whip manias, and this year I'm kind of, doing another twist. So 1 start a week. My goal is to give each start 3 days, and then the days in between I will just stitch what makes me joyful. So that's the plan. The first one I want to start was inspired by the other full coverage I was working on. This was a Christmas gift this last year from my mother. She always keeps me stocked on beautiful kits, and I love this. This reminds me of Hesed Head in Oregon along the coast, and it's so beautiful. Big project, but most of the sky is half stitches, so it's really only 2/3 of full cross, full coverage. Anyways, I'd love to give this a start. I'm gonna do it on the kit Ada, and I've already got it edged and ready to go. And I love it when kits do their floss like this, because it's so easy to keep tidy. Anyways, all set to go on that one. And then I've been wanting to start in the greenhouse for a month and a half, almost 2 months now. And this was one of my other market purchases. So I think I'll give this one a start, because it's all kitted up and ready to go. And the colors are just stunning. So rich and beautiful. And then, my last market. So we're going to start my market thing, Cicada's Song Sampler, which I am missing 3 colors for. But I'm going to pop out and grab those, and I'll grab that other DMC for Garden Samplers, or not for Garden Sampler, for Simple Life, for the little dog as well. And then I'll be ready to go. And I have the called for Vintage Country Mocha. I think it's a different count, but it's the right color. So that will be great. And it's so pretty. I love everything about this. I really want to stitch that little raccoon. So we might have to start in the border. And last but not least, certainly not least, this is one of my first big pattern purchases. So this is, I have started this and unstarted this. What's the term for that? So this is On the Oregon Trail by Heartstring Sampler. I can speak. Beth Twist is the designer. And I love this. I bought this. So my husband and I met in Oregon. And then within the first couple years of our marriage, we moved to my hometown in Washington and lived there for a couple years. And then we came back to Oregon, and we lived there most of our marriage. So, and I have pioneer heritage. I definitely grew up very aware of my pioneer heritage, and I have a lot of respect for, I mean, I did not romanticize the 19th century the way I did when I was a teenager. I've read too many books and I'm far too aware of the realities of, oh my goodness, settling Western America. It was not a glamorous life, but it could, you know, these places I love would not be what they were today without the people who made great sacrifices and lived brutal at times lives to, you know, settle Oregon and Washington and all the states in between, California. And anyways, the good, the bad, and the ugly brought us to where we are, right? And so I fell in love with this. It's beautiful. It's not showing particularly well, but each row is based on diary entries, and she has given, it's so mangled, this pattern. I've owned it for a long time. Anyways, she kind of explains like the story of one of her ancestors. I assume it's one of hers. I'll have to read it more carefully. I did when I first got it, but I haven't recently. It doesn't say, obviously. Anyways, more details on that later. But she gives some history that goes with each panel of the progression. And the story starts down at the bottom and goes to the top. But she talked about, I did read that you could reverse it, because a lot of, you know, we read top to bottom. So it does make some sense for it to go the other way. But I don't know, I think I'll probably stitch it as is. It's how I had intended to do it. But the top and bottom borders are the same, so I don't know, I'll think about it. I need to make a decision before I finish one banner. Anyways, long story long, I have it kitted up. I have done a probably 50% conversion on this. My scratchy little notes here. I had probably, it calls for a lot of floss. It's a big project though. And I had probably half of them in my hot little hands. and then I didn't. And so I have gone through and, you know, when I'm making a conversion, if I'm not familiar with the color or I don't have like a little strip of it somewhere, I will pull up a picture, you know, as flawed as pictures can be sometimes for conveying color. It's an estimate. And so I'll look at the DMC equivalent. And anyways, this is a color to color conversion for this project. I'm not doing anything crazy. And so, as best I could, I tried to stay true to the call for colors. The only exception to that is there is a gray blue, I assume, that is in this panel. It's not going to focus very well, but that's like a mountain range with sky and a sunshine. And then it's also the same color goes through the middle of the river. So I wanted it to read just slightly more blue. I didn't want it to be like this crazy pop so that it blends with everything else. But I did, and we'll see. I believe that this is the called for slate, and this, or maybe this was closer to the called for, and this is what I may use instead. Which seems pretty bright until you consider like Sally Sunshine's pretty dang bright. Like it's a pretty good pop. Even the orange is a pretty good pop. The colors aren't, let's see if I can calm them down here and maybe give them a background. That might help. There you go. Anyways, it doesn't pop terribly at all. It doesn't pop terribly. It doesn't pop at all. But it will read a little bit more sky in that panel. So I think that'll be nice. The first time I tried to start this, I discontinued it because I realized my fabric wasn't going to be big enough. It's a very tall project. Even stitching on 36 count, I think it was around 20 inches tall. Yeah, 19 inches. So, oh, my screen just went away. There we go. Anyway, so this is the fabric I've chosen. It is 32 count Lugana Platinum, which I've not stitched on before, so this will be nice. It's just a solid, really lovely, oh my gosh, I just tangled all my thread. All my floss, but I think it's gonna just be a really nice backdrop for let the stitching sing on this one, right? And I'm gonna do something fun. So I went on my library, my Libby app, and I found a couple of nonfiction and I think one fictional retelling, like a historical retelling, but like fiction. I'm not saying historical fiction retelling of someone's experience. Okay, that was hard. And then a couple of nonfiction about the Oregon Trail and kind of the history of that specifically. And I've read one of them before, but it's been a long time. So I'm excited to be learning and expanding my knowledge of that specific history, moment in history, while I'm stitching. I think that'll be a really neat way to do it. So those are my 4 starts. And then, like I said, I'm just going to stitch on whips that feel good, like maybe my May Iris and I don't know, whatever sparkles when I sit down to stitch. So we'll see what that winds up being. Okay, that's what I've got for you, my friends. I hope you're well. I hope you're getting some good stitching time, and yeah, that life's treating you kindly and that you're treating yourself kindly too. As much as we want to spread kindness to others, which is very important, we also want to spread kindness to ourselves. I don't know about you, but I can be very mean to myself. I don't necessarily give myself the grace or the space to be imperfect that I do other people. So be kind to yourselves, please. And stitch much. Get out in the sunshine if you're experiencing the blooming of the world. I know, different hemispheres are in different rhythms right now, but thank you for joining me. Take care of yourselves, and I'll be with you soon with a cloud covering our sunshine for the last few seconds. Okay, happy stitching, my friends.